So this was really good. So here's what they did with this. They printed 20,000. They have 10,000 at their local hotels. And what they do is if somebody said the number one asked question is, where's a good place to eat? They can reach down under the counter and say, well, you know what, here's the very best of Alpena. You know, it's got some of our very best restaurants and activities and trails and those types of things. But then with the other 10,000, they mailed one to every single household in the county, 30,000 in the county. They put it in an envelope with a little card, and here's what the card said, and I'm paraphrasing, is the number one reason people travel is to visit friends and family. We hope you will hang on to this brochure so that when friends and family visit you, you will share with them the very best of what Alpena has to offer. Because we believe that every dining room table should be a concierge desk. Within days, people were coming downtown with a brochure without friends and family and go, I got this brochure in the mail. How long have you been here? And the merchant would go, 10 years. It changed everything. And so I want you to do that. Now, in the case of Alpena, this was their criteria. First of all, they had to be highly regarded by somebody other than themselves. So like 80% positive reviews on TripAdvisor and Yelp, or written up in Midwest Living magazine, those types of things. They needed to have good curb appeal. They needed to be open year-round. That was a challenge up there. They had to be open until at least 6 p.m. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. We wanted to be till like 8 p.m., but there would have been nobody in the brochure. And then they had to be open 6 days a week, and they had to be unique to you. So sorry, we're not putting McDonald's and Subway in there. We want things that are unique. Visitors want things that are unique. If we want to change, fine, you can go to Peru, right? And so we want that. I mean, this is the one they did in the Red Rock area of Iowa. And they're doing these around the country. Always promote your anchor tenants. So for you, I thought, okay, we could market your top 4 restaurants, retail shops. We need to get some retail shops. Hiking trails, biking trails, river activities. See what I mean? Also, package of things that are things to do, not just places to eat. And by the way, people love must-do activities. As a matter of fact, people love numbers, 3, 5, 7. I mean, go to Travel Leisure Magazine, the most beautiful heritage sites. I mean, they just go through all different kinds of activities. You know, 12 great last-minute Labor Day getaways, the most underrated cities in America. I mean, it goes on and on. You can go, here we go, here, America's best road trips, the best. People always want this kind of stuff. You know, so we can just keep going through this. I'm just going to quickly go through this. You know, 16 coastal towns, 10 castle stays. People love numbers. So for you, I put Deer Park Golf Club there. Now, we didn't play the course, but driving around, it looked like a stunning course. Is it a good course? Yes. Yeah? Okay, good. So we put it there. Now, while we were there, we saw a little sign that said something about Matheson Lake. So we drove down this little road, and we saw something right here, and we couldn't find any information regarding these things. I don't even know what that is. Do you?
Deer hunting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
Deer hunting. Okay, because you go down around, see 1, 7, 9, and all this going, well, what the, there's no reference anywhere. And then, of course, one thing we really noticed is that everywhere we went, you had these signs. And it seems to be a major problem in LaSalle County. I mean, I've never seen, we've done this everywhere, and it's like, no booze, no alcohol, you know. I mean, it's like, wow, this must be a major problem. The biggest sign everywhere.
That's gambling.
Yeah, that and gambling, okay. So anyway, we drove in there, and by the way, rather than do all these signs, maybe you should do one sign. I mean, looks pretty junky.
Yeah. But that's DNR.
Well, I know it has nothing to do with you, but it should have something to do with you own these parks. You need to start working on it because if you go down this path, you're only as good as what they give you. So a lot of these don't have anything to do with Oglesby, but they do have because they're next to you and you can benefit from them. So in this case, you might talk to somebody from DNR and say, you know what, this looks really crappy. And by the way, when you drive down there, I swore I could have heard banjo music. It looks like this place has been abandoned for years. Well, then take down the signs. Just take down the signs. Just get rid of the, if I go back a few slides, just get rid of the archery range. You know, as a matter of fact, I would probably get rid of that entire sign because I'm not done yet. But it's just, you know, people come here and they think, whoa. So obviously this did not make our best of list. You know, I mean, it was the targets are gone, maybe you have to bring your own, there's weeds growing over everything, and you know what, that wasn't any better. Isn't this part of a state park?
Yeah.
Now, I understand, you know what, you're in the news everywhere about Illinois and its budget problems and everything. But I did notice that there was an article we just saw that the state just got allocated $64 million for capital improvements. And maybe some of those will go this way because when you go into places like this, it's downright scary. It's creepy. So why are you promoting people to go down here and this is what you get? You know, it doesn't look like anybody swept it or cared or done anything for years. And I'm sure that's not true, but that's the impression you get. You know, I mean, once again, we've got, you know, and by the way, one thing I noticed, and this is why you need to work with state parks and stuff on this. So this is not about Oglesby yet. I'm coming to you. You're probably getting really nervous now, aren't you? So, you know, when you come into these places, there's nothing anywhere that ever says welcome. It's just, oh yeah, by the way, it is, we have handicap parking, and then what does it say? Oh, a $250 fine, just to make sure that you get it. And then we have the limits on the catch sizes, a dial 911 because you're probably going to need it. And then we got it's unlawful to do all this stuff. And by the way, we have people falling off the cliffs and no biking is allowed in here. And you're just going, holy smokes, we better get in the car before we die. Another thing I would recommend to state parks or whoever manages this, there's a lot of trash here, and typically this isn't because somebody put the trash there. Animals will pull these out of the garbage cans, like raccoons and stuff. And so I always say that every state park should be doing these kinds of things. They call these bear cans, so bears can't get in them and everything. And we've even seen like Kiwanis Rotary Clubs actually provide these. Bear Saver is a company, they develop these, and so you have to kind of slide the door and then it opens. But you need to do some things like that. I mean, this is a stunning spot. But I don't know why we went down this way. I don't even know why that sign's out there on the road. I'd get rid of it. Have people go to the main entrance and then hike down the trails. And we looked down there and went, whoa, now I get it. I mean, that was pretty cool, even from up top. And then there is Matheson Lake. I don't know. So one thing is, are there any activities available on the lake? No. Can you fish it?
You have private people that go ice fishing and.
Okay, so they'll do some ice fishing. Is the fishing good? We don't know? Okay. So we you know, it looks a little tough. But one thing that's really important in all your marketing, you need to market activities, not facilities like lakes. See what I mean? So why should we go there? We did see the catch limits, you know, so it says 10 fish daily, 2 poles, line fishing, all that. I mean, I think that's all fine. Here's my question. Do you need to have a fishing license?
Yes.
Why isn't that on any signs? And where do you get one? See what I mean? And so you're inviting us to go fishing, but you don't finish the job. So these are things you can do as a city, as a town, to work with the state parks to say, well, hey, can we add a sign that says, hey, we've got a bait shop in downtown or whatever, where you can get a fishing license. There's just no information. You know, and then, you know, and by the way, does anybody know how far it is from here over to the other side where you go down the trails? See, there's no signs. I don't know whether this is a 5-minute walk or a 45-minute walk. No information. And remember, if we can get people to Matheson, it's your closest one. It is right next door to you. Make it easier for people to enjoy the park. But there's no signage. There's no information. And so, you know, And once again, here's what we do. Everywhere we go, it's unlawful to do this and this and this. You know what? So are people supposed to pull into these places, stop their car, get out, go read the sign? Where you should put these rules is where people park. And not right there. So what happens is you start assaulting people. And I know this isn't you, but I want you to work with these, whether it's DNR, whether it's state parks. I mean, say, hey, state parks, you should watch the video Roger Brooks did. That way I can be the heavy. I don't mind doing that. But when you drive into this one, this is what you see. I'm going, another abandoned place. And by the way, I don't mean to be coming down to state parks because I understand your state parks have been ripped to the core with budget cuts. And I think it's a shame because it's the pride of every state. So there's my political statement for the day. But this, you know, I even thought, well, could we have somebody, a group, somebody locally in Oglesby just adopt this and say, could we take care of it? And by the way, things like this, those are just envelopes for paying. There's no brochures, there's no information. I thought, you know what's fascinating is Starved Rock has their posters all over the place and nobody else does. But I thought, we'll adopt it, and in exchange, could we put our best up brochure that I just told you about? For right now, just take your restaurant, could we put our restaurant brochure there, and if we can do that, we'll manage it, we'll take care of it. I don't, you know, here's a trail map right here, but we can't take it with us. You have to kind of memorize it or do a snapshot of it on your phone. And so it's just kind of sad. I mean, even there's weeds growing through all the camping sites. And the picnic tables are in weeds that are this high. So has this been abandoned? Is this still open?
Yes.
It is? Do people ever use it?
Yes.
They do. But can you imagine? I mean, that's my first impression, that nobody cares. And the fact is, I'm sure people care. They just don't have the money. We've actually worked in cities where we say, hey, you know what, would you mind if we have one of our retired people has a nice John Deere tractor, would it be okay if we went out there and mowed that once every 3 weeks or something? And around here, you know, the grass grows like that, like probably in a week. But it's just overrun. And so we just thought, man, and then we couldn't find any marked trails here. So it says groups of 25, that's all fine, still marked trails, we had the drowning alien there. You know, but I just thought maybe an equestrian club could adopt this. So maybe you say, you know what, state parks, we want to work with you. We found an equestrian club that might want to come walk with you. Remember, your success is only as good as what you have around you, and this is one of those areas. And so when we drove in there, we just couldn't find anything. Beautiful, beautiful area. We have horse trail parking, hiking trails, picnicking, and you know, but then you see this. I have no idea what this is. You? Does anybody?
Used to be a billboard for the DNR to post things.
So maybe say, you know what, if we went and painted this and took care of it, could we put up a brochure for Oglesby? Could we put our restaurant brochure in here? Here's the backside. Here's a brochure and another brochure. But, yeah, for bears, we had to Google that one. You know, and I'm sure this has something to do with hunting or trapping in the area. But this is, I want you to hang your hat on these state parks, and this is our first impression. It's pretty rough. Even here, once again, Starved Rock does a great job, but I don't see anything for any other community anywhere. So if they have permission to do that, maybe you could promote Oglesby there. And it should say, hey, could we go ahead and adopt this kiosk and update it every once in a while for you? So that way, it's a benefit. And we found most state park directors and hosts will do that. So I just think there's some opportunities there. And by the way, here's an empty brochure holder. Heck, you know, if I would have had a stack of those, I would have just put them in there. But nice area. But once you see the fort, you know, you see stuff like this. Remember, as visitors, you probably just look past all this stuff. As visitors, these are the things we know, so we just go, ew. And by the way, here's my question. Have you all been here? How many of you have stopped and spent half an hour to read that? I mean, you have to have a magnifying glass to read it. It's just, why are you doing that? And so, you know, I think this is great. I thought it'd be good if there was like a little QR code where you could take a picture of the trail map, and then as you're going through the trails, you could find your way around. I thought it was great. But I thought, or a map brochure, anything to make the experience more pleasurable. So you see lots of these. You know, here's what I thought. You should do a Friends of the Illinois State Parks nonprofit. We actually found Starved Rock Foundation. So I thought maybe as a community, say, you know what? State parks, we want to claim ownership of your state parks. In exchange, we want to help you where we can. So we're not asking the city to go out and spend a bunch of money, but we're thinking volunteers, can we go work with them? Can we be a partner with State Park? And wouldn't that be great if superintendents would be saying, when people ask, where's a good place to eat, they say, we got to head downtown Oglesby. You're a partner. And if you do that, it would be great. So we also went down to the river area. Once again, you know, we got the no alcohol signs, but by the way, it's okay to drink up after Labor Day, after Memorial Day. That I don't get. That one I say, so it's okay because January, February, March, April, May. So if you will stop drinking for 5 months, you're good the other 7. That one I just went,
They claimed they were having problems earlier in the year.
oh, I
More
see.
than later in the year, that's why. From my
Okay, but what this says is that on May 31st, open, go for it, bring your takers.
Nobody else understood it either.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, I'm just giving bad time about that. But once again, I would always put all the rules. I would always say to your entranceway, say welcome. Welcome, please take care of our state parks, they're our pride and joy. And then when you get to the parking area, you say, okay, if you have 10 groups of more than 25, stay on marked trails, no metal detecting, no swimming, warning you'll fall off cliffs, all of that. I think you should do that, dial 911, protect it, and we'll prosecute, and all that. I just think that you could combine all these and put it in a parking area so you don't scare this off. So that'd be my message about that stuff. So, no of that. I'd crack me up. But this RC field is awesome. That's remote controlled aircraft. It's somebody, you know what? Somebody's taking care of this and they're doing a great job. And I'll bet you it is the RC Flyers. That's what you need to do with equestrian clubs. That's what you need to do. And by the way, that is so good. We said, you know what? That's another reason to come. If you have remote control airplanes, we want you to come. Stay in Oglesby because we got a great field right here. And by the way, I would absolutely put with Matheson State Park. But here's what I want you to do. Don't promote the state park. Promote the top trail, whatever it is. Maybe it's a hike down, you know, where that waterfall I showed from above. And I don't know what that trail's called. If it doesn't have a name, give it a name. Say, this is, so don't just promote the state park. Say, this trail goes to such and such. Is there a name for that falls?
Bailey Falls.
Bailey Falls?
No, it's not Bailey Falls. It's
Falls.
Matheson Falls.
Matheson Falls? Okay, so you might say the hike down to Matheson Falls. So how long a hike is that? What's that? Okay, an average person could do it in 10 minutes?
A half hour.
Half hour. So a half hour in and out. So what you do is say, and by the way, would you consider that the #1 hike in the park?
Oh, yeah.
So somebody would just say, so we want to do the half hour hike down to Matheson Falls in Matheson State Park. See what I mean? Always promote the activity, not just the park. Because I'll bet you there's lots of other trails, right? There's horseback trails, there's other hiking trails, there's probably hunting trails there. But mark it, 1 or 2 of the top trails in the park. Always sell activities. You know, Horse Trail Park, there we go. And here again, you check in there for fur bearers or fur bearing and all that. I imagine that has to do with trapping, right? You don't know either. Okay, and then we got more of these numbers, and there's no reference to them anywhere. And these are the trails. Is it a mile long? 5 miles long? Is there cross-country skiing on these trails anywhere? We could find no information anywhere. I mean, that's supposedly a trail back here. Who knows? I mean, it's just like, you know, for hunters, you know, and I just don't know. Now, so we kind of checked those out. And I'm gonna take a little side trip here. When you're coming down, oh, by the way, we're on the road and we never did find these. I know they're not in Oglesby, but we thought, it says 2 miles down, never could find them. Do they even exist?
They do, and
They
they are
do?
working on signage right now. They
Oh,
just
okay.
got that sign, and they could not get a state sign because you have to be so many miles away from the interstate.
Gotcha, okay. So anyway, I had this idea, taking a side trip. Because when you come down 39, you know what it takes to get these signs? You said it. Tourist info, next exit. We take the exit. Tourist info, turn left. Starved Rock State Park, turn left. You know, then we drive into town. We do see a blue arrow. We thought, well, maybe this, because all these signs are blue, maybe this is the blue arrow that's visitor information. We turn left there. Then maybe visitor information is at the Root Beer Drive-In. Is it, you know, or state parks that way? And then we have Mr. Solz's restaurant there. I mean, so we turned left, and it says State Parks 5 miles, and then we keep driving and driving and driving. Then we saw this down here in, was this Jonesville? By the way, we started on a map, and it says Janesville. So somebody needs to, so anyway, it says turn right. So the visitor information off 39, you have to go all the way to Starved Rock to get it. We can find no visitor information anywhere in Oglesby. Now, here's the deal. Okay, well, here's the deal. So I had Jane walk into City Hall because they probably recognize me and say, you know, we saw all these visitor information signs out on the highway. We cannot find it anywhere. And I'm not too sure who she talked to in there. And they said, yeah, we should probably take those down. I'm going, no, provide the visitor information and never going to get them back. So I didn't say that to them. I just said that when she got back to the car. But yeah, and so there was no visitor information. So I kept thinking, what if? What if we could take a building like this? I don't think there's any business. Well, there's the hair salon in there. I don't know. This says contracting, but it just seems to be a warehouse space. I thought, could we take a building like that? Or could we take a building like this? And what if we created the Starved Rock and Illinois River Adventure Center? What if we could get a grant, a community development block grant or grant to either buy the building or lease it, go in there like we've done this is Whistler Resort up in British Columbia, where we created an activity center and an adventure center where people could come from. And so I just took, this is just really rudimentary, but I thought if we could take a building and we could have little booths or a tour book. So for instance, down on the river we saw a stern wheeler. Have you guys seen that stern wheeler? We can find no information about that stern wheeler anywhere. Nowhere. Not online, nowhere. I don't even know why it's there. I don't know if it's part of, this is not the Eagle One that they do at Starved Rock.